Hello, everyone. This is Matt Kinsman, Head of Content at Connectiv. Welcome to Connectiv's Digital Media and Technology Council meeting. Our discussion today is particularly timely. As publishers, our most dangerous competition today is no longer another publisher, but social media platforms and third-party data providers who are claiming to reach our audiences and more for far cheaper than what we're charging. Today, we're happy to have ALM's Matt Weiner and Joanne Kropp show how they're taking back the power with the development of Audience First, which enables ALM to scale its first-party data beyond its own properties. But before we start that discussion, I just want to give you a couple quick updates about Connectiv's new peer-to-peer council format. Moving forward, we're going to be offering 4 peer-to-peer councils that are open to anyone who is a Connectiv member, and you can be a part of any one of these councils. You do not have to self-select one or another. The councils are the Digital Media and Technology Council, which we're on today, which focuses on all areas of digital strategy and execution. The Data Strategy and Monetization Council, which focuses on how publishers are turning data into paid products. The Revenue Council, which is geared toward publishers, chief revenue officers, salespeople, really anyone with direct revenue responsibilities. And then Editorial and Content, which focuses on the new content experience, as well as how content teams are becoming part of the revenue equation. After today, we'll be proceeding with a new format with live meetings held in New York and Chicago 4 times per year. The virtual format, it's convenient, but there is real value in having face-to-face discussions and making new connections. Going forward, our webinars will be webinars, but the council meetings will be in person. The new Data Strategy Council will be hosting its first meeting on November 11th at our Business Information and Media Summit in Hollywood, Florida. And the meeting really complements the dedicated data monetization track that we're featuring at the conference as well. We're also going to be hosting live meetings at the DMC in the first week of December, and we'll follow up shortly with more details about that. We're also happy to welcome a new chair to the Digital Media and Technology Council in Natalie Williams, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Brief Media. Natalie and her team have been active members of the DMC over the last 2 years, and she's also delivered one of our most popular recent presentations on how to get the most out of your CDP. Roberta Muller, Senior VP of Product Development at Northstar, remains a co-chair of the DMC. Roberta is actually in strategy meetings this week, and she sends her regrets, but she will be joining us again as we move forward, with Roberta hosting meetings in New York and Natalie hosting meetings in Chicago. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning. The DMC has been really helpful to me. As Matt mentioned, Brief Media joined Connectiv about 2 years ago, and coincidentally, my first committee meeting, I also had to give a presentation, so I got a little bit of baptism by fire there. This type of learning and networking and connections, it's so important to me because Brief Media is a small company. We have 38 FTEs, and so to be able to offer the webinars and the councils and the meetings to our team is really helpful. We often need to go outside of our company to get this kind of expertise, and through these types of meetings and people met through the council, every month I probably at least 2 to 3 times I'm either asking someone a question or having someone reach out to me for a question, and that's really helpful. Roberta and I have been working with Matt to make this meeting and this group more engaging and interactive. So as Matt mentioned, there will be more opportunities for in-person connection in the future. We're excited about those. And for the webinars, Matt will be sending out, I think we're looking at doing some surveys of the group for topic input, and we'll be calling on a bigger variety of people to share case studies and share information. Today I'm really excited about the presentation from ALM. We have 2 leaders from their Marketing Services division, Matt Weiner, who's the President of Marketing Services, and Joanne Kropp, who is the VP of Marketing Services and Sales Enablement. Right now at Brief, we are up to our eyeballs in our fall selling season preparation and data story. So for me personally, I got an advanced look at the slides, and I'm already excited and have some takeaways to share with my team. It's an exciting look at how they're leveraging their data as a competitive advantage for digital ad dollars, and also how they've productized their offering to clients. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn this over to Matt and Joanne.
Thank you, Natalie. Hi, this is Matt Weiner. I'm the president of the Marketing Services Group here at ALM. And thanks to Connectiv for having us and letting us present today. I have to warn everybody, both Joanne and I are sick today. So fortunately, through the wonders of technology and webcasts, we won't be getting anybody else sick today, but we can still do the webcast. So if there are any sudden mutes, it's probably a coughing fit, and I will just keep that away from you. So to start with, I'm just going to go through a few slides on ALM. I want to talk about the organization just to give you some scale, not as some shameless plug for my own company, but I think it's important to understand the scale of the company that we were dealing with when we looked at the organization. And then I'll talk a little bit about the structure and how we had to structure the company or the Marketing Services Group in order to enable or pave the way to do things like audience first, and really hasten our speed to market and our creativity when it came to data-driven products. Next slide, please. So about ALM, as you can see, we're probably a mid-sized media company, maybe on a little larger side, but we are pretty diverse. We've got a lot of different groups that we work with. We've got an intelligence business, a research business. We've got a lot of paid subscriptions, and then we, of course, have our advertising marketing services business. But ultimately, we've got 6 million professionals, but ultimately you can see that there's a lot of competition within our own organization for resources. So that's a major element towards how do we structure the organization to make sure that we can focus on the right things and get the right resources for something like audience first. Next slide, please. Again, looking at kind of the scale of the company, we still have a lot of print publications, events, intelligence, websites, newsletters, mobile. Again, this just gives you an idea that we have a lot of shared services in the organization, competing for those resources, and we had to figure out how to deal with that. Next slide, please. So the markets that we're actually in, legal is our largest, being called American Lawyer Media, you can understand that, but we've diversified over the last 5 years, commercial real estate, finance, we've got investment advisory and credit unions, consulting. In the insurance space, we have property casualty and employee benefits. So again, a lot of vertical markets, a lot of needs. Everybody is equally important in the organization, and all of those markets are looking for resources. Next slide, please. So this is really where we get into kind of what do we do? Why did we need to change? How did we pave the way? So, if you look at, I think that the general consensus is people feel that Google and Facebook are taking all of the advertising dollars, and then everybody else gets what's left, and it's not a lot. My feeling is, though, B2B is probably at the best place to capture dollars aside from Google and Facebook. We've got really strong communities. We know that advertisers recognize our communities. They recognize that we have built over a long period of time and through tremendous amount of expense, we've built quality organic communities that the individuals are highly desired. They're decision makers. But what we didn't do for many years, I think as an industry, was keep up technologically. I think the Googles and the Facebooks said, well, we can target anybody. We can find anybody that you want. So sure, context is key, is important, but not the end all be all. So I think we're poised and B2B is at a really good spot as long as we're able to keep up technologically. So when we took a look at the organization and we said, all right, how do we focus on on improving our technology, on looking at our first-party data, on providing more information and first-party data, or leveraging that data in our product set, the first thing that we noticed was, too much competition within our own organization. We have a shared services model, and I don't think any of us really, at least for companies our size, I don't think you can fully get away from a shared services model. We have shared services in client marketing, in audience marketing, in development, and we still have that today. But when we looked at it, we really needed to get some more dedicated resources within the advertising or the marketing services group so that we could dedicate resources to advertising and marketing services. I think if you want to compete in the Google, Facebook world and compete in terms of technology and data, you've got to get focused resources. I mean, when I look at my own organization, events are really important. Subscriptions are really important. You can see how valuable those things are to an organization right now. Well, advertising sometimes is looked at as, would we rather grow our advertising business, or would we rather grow our subscription business or our events business? And if you're competing with those for resources, I don't know that you're always going to win that battle. It depends on your own organization. So we needed to get a little bit more focus on marketing services side of the business. So when we looked at a reorganization, fortunately I was able to make some changes to the org. I brought in Joanne, who you're going to hear from in a moment, who's really our head of product and data, and with such a rich data background. Everybody that we looked at and everybody that we brought in or reorganized had to have sort of a client-focused point of view. That was the key. Do you understand what the client's needs are? What are they trying to accomplish? And that's got to inform our decision-making to begin with. So we bring in a new head of product, ad ops. Sure, we had a head of ad ops previously, and operationally they were solid. But I don't believe ad ops is really just an operational role. It's not a cost center. It should be a revenue center. It should be somebody that understands client needs, paves the way for making decisions based on what clients want. How do we be creative? How do we be fleet of foot? How do we make changes? How do we inform our product better based on what the clients are saying? Then we brought in a new digital product development director. Now, as I said, development is a centralized group within ALM. But in order to get the time and attention that I felt we needed and that Joanne needed on marketing services, on data-driven marketing services products, we have somebody embedded in our group who does sit in many of those organizational meetings with the centralized dev group. But they sit in those meetings with an eye and an ear towards exactly what we're doing in our own group, and they're able to help bridge that gap. That's a really crucial one right there. And then, of course, there's increased focus for marketing and audience development, which tend to be centralized groups. Marketing has been decentralized within my group. Audience development is still a centralized group, and we sort of have to balance how do we use the first-party data and share that first-party data across the entire organization. That's a key one. So then the first one, our first payoff in this new structure has been our Audience First product, which is really, it has really taken off. We're leveraging our first-party data. I'm not going to steal Joanne's thunder as she goes into the product, but we are leveraging our first-party data to going back to that Google, Facebook model to give our advertisers exactly who they're looking to reach. They have the confidence in our markets. They have the confidence in our communities. And now we're basically leveraging exactly those individuals to reach them both on and off our site and give them the confidence that these are the exact individuals that they're looking for. One of the things I was thinking of as I wrote this slide was, over the years, I think that when we looked at kind of our markets, we looked at lead generation, we looked at webcasts. 10 or 15 years, I don't think any of us really thought that we were going to give our customers leads, or I don't think we ever really wanted to give them the leads. I don't think we ever really wanted to give them such access to our communities. The feeling is, at least in B2B, and it depends on the market, some of them are relatively small, and if you give your customers such deep access to your community, they may not need you anymore. But over the years, I don't think we've had a choice. I think they are demanding deep access to our communities, and so we are having to give them leads. We're having to give them first-party data or leverage that first-party data. We're having to prove to them exactly who is in the community and find specific individuals, and that's exactly what this product is designed to do. It's designed to find exactly communities who they're trying to reach, and then go deeper within those communities. So with that, I'll turn it over to Joanne. She can go into some more detail about the product. And Joanne, after you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Sorry if my voice is scratchy. I may stop to drink some water. Matt, please feel free to jump in if you think you want to add anything to what we're talking about. So today is, we want to talk about Audience First. We're pretty excited. We launched this, I think, mid-July, so we were very bullish about making sure we got this out in time for the sales season. We believe that we have an opportunity for fourth quarter growth and really sets us up for 2020. So what this is it allows us to leverage our premium audience data and using our first party. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about using our first party data. I'll talk a little bit more about why that's important. Next slide. So this slide is what we all hear, all these buzzwords and all these ROI, but we know, particularly when we sit in client meetings, that that's what they're expecting. Our clients are expecting more bang for their buck. They're expecting an ROI. They're expecting us to have improved reporting that gives them that. And if we ask for bigger spends, we have to deliver the ROI. Next slide. So we're now moving forward. It's always been the case, but we're tightening up a little bit about how we talk about our audience. So because we can have a lot of products, and we can have events, and we can have newsletters, we can have a lot of content, but it's about bringing in the right audience, bringing in the right subscriber. And how do we organize that data, and how do we position the strength of that data to our clients? So, it's level setting. It's here's who we are. Here's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about how you can get deeper reach to our audience. Next slide. Audience First will identify, we're all consultants now. I mean, we're not salespeople, we're consultants. And we talk to our client about who they want to target. And because we've built a database that allows us to do targeting, we build data segments, and that gives us the ability to serve banner ads or serve messaging to those people, to that data segment that we've built, wherever they go on the web or social sites. They no longer have to be on our site. It's important that it starts on our site, but it's amplifying the client's messaging, and it's really taking it to that next level of staying in front of them without stalking them. Next slide. So there's a lot of noise out there about data, and we all hear it. It's first party, second party, third party data. What Google's getting. I mean, we've been really helping Google build up their targeting capabilities because, we're all connected to them. And, so what do we do as publishers? We have to put that quality data, we have to really drill that home. And how we drill it home is every touch point that we have, we're collecting self-reported data. That's what makes it first party. We have that relationship with the person. They know our privacy policy, makes it clear that how we're going to be using data. And they know that by giving us the data, they are going to get access to much more content, that rich content. So it's that data piece and the content piece. Nobody else has that, but those of us that are publishers and creating it. We're creating the unique audience that reads our newsletter. And oh, by the way, that newsletter content is can be directly related to an advertiser who needs prospects to sell a product to. So we're very diligent about how we collect it. I'm sure most of you are, but once you collect it, you've got to organize it right. Next slide. This slide is just details on what we collect. You have the own information at your own companies about what you collect. We need to collect by listening to clients, who they want to target, collecting those right data segments, those right attributes that allows us to organize the data, because we only want to send messages to the people that it makes sense to send to. And on the right side is this is an example. You may not be thinking about every touch point that you have, that is a data segment, that is a data set that you can organize. Next slide. So all of this comes together because we are collecting our offline data. That's the magazines. That's the magazines that are being read. We've got paid and controlled circ. They give us information in order so that we can write good valuable content for them and to give them access to more of our information. So we're collecting that. We collect the first party online traffic, and we say it's first party because it's our content. We have access, so a lot of the data, the noise out there is about, I've got first party data. That does not always mean that data is that offline demographic data. It may be traffic behavioral topics that are being captured and aggregated to make available for targeting. But that's one piece of it. We're taking all three pieces, and that's what gives us the ability to go toward this, premium product model, or leveraging the premium product model. Matt, is there anything you want to jump in that you think I maybe missed here?
No, I think the only thing that went through all of our heads that may be going through others on the call's heads are, well, how do we avoid, as you start to look at leveraging our data and then serving our data our users both on and offline, are we in some way disintermediating ourselves and basically saying, well, our environments aren't as important? And that's actually not the case at all. We looked at that very closely. Our environments are absolutely crucial. We're starting with our environment. We started and we said, this is how we build our first-party data. Everything starts with our own environment, and this is one of several products. When you look at our product suite, there are other opportunities that we have where we allow you just on site to reach into our communities in different ways. So this I thought that was important to mention because I know that was a big deal organizationally when we started building this product. Is there's a fear that we just start serving communities across the web, and then we're no longer as valuable because of the Because what we've always said over the years was, hey, it's contextual relevance on site. Our communities, you have to be on our site in order for us to provide value. It's not truly the case.
Well, we're finding that but it does start with our content. It starts with our websites. It starts with our magazine. It starts with that relationship that we all have with our subscribers. That's where it starts, and that's the differentiator for those of us that are in publishing, our media.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay,
Joanne,
next slide.
Joanne, I just want to jump in quick. We did have a question come in. I just want to read that, and you can decide if you want to answer that now or just wait to the end. But the question is, can you address how you're activating the combination of offline and online data? Is this via DMP? Do you also have an SSP in place or audience extension?
Yeah, we have multiple vendors, that we're using for this. What you find out is you don't have to build it. So I think that's what keeps, those of you that know me, I'm pretty bullish about programmatic. And programmatic is here. And this is really our version. This is a premium programmatic type offering, and that we're doing, and we don't have to make a $2 million investment to build it all. So we have outside partners to do that. It's helping us. So when we talk about bringing this concept to ALM, the organization of this leveraging your data in a different way, you don't want to do. Wow, we're always worried about fatiguing our databases through too many emails. That's always a constant worry because we have our own marketing we have to do. And we're promoting all of these products, particularly those of us with very robust marketing services capabilities. So this was embraced pretty fast, and it was pretty surprising for me because it's a way that we can leverage data without constantly just filling up more email boxes. But the interesting thing is that it also complements the fact that we're able to amplify anything we do in marketing services. It complements and it helps drive higher or better performance on all of our core products. And so what we did was we wanted to take baby steps because we have a sales organization that is pretty digitally savvy, which I was very happy to see. They too were old print publishers, but they've got, there's a lot of digital savvy, a lot of training around how to sell digital, investment in, IAB, certification. So it was embraced pretty fast. And, we decided to take the baby chunks was to say, if you want to target by topics and behavior, we can do that. Or a brand. That way you're making sure that you're always aligned with folks that are interested in that topic or interested in that brand from our database. Next slide. And the demographic piece, that's our offline data. That comes to how we've organized it, how we data map, how we understand the personas. So that helps us target. So if you want to target job functions on and off our websites, that you can do that as well. And the last one, next slide. I think we have a delay. Is there a delay? Okay. So the next phase, what I should have finished off on that previous slide is, so we went to the organization with, let's not try to boil the ocean. Let's not come out with stuff that's hard to understand. Let's give the sales the sales team the ability to learn about it, talk about it, field questions, and then we'll start to bolt on additional capabilities that are attached to this, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we're about to enter that next phase, and this slide is particularly, it's a visual that just gives you that. It's kind of simple when you look at it this way. We've got an engaged audience. Google doesn't really. LinkedIn's is a repository for resumes, and they're trying to get engagement, but we've got that engaged audience, and we've got this engine that helps us organize that audience, and then we're able to put banners in front of them at what frequency, that we collectively have decided with the client. And we are not going to do, the one thing that we're not promoting is retargeting. We're not promoting, we can do it, sure. That's the low CPMs. That doesn't allow us to leverage our data in a premium data product. Retargeting follows anonymous traffic that was on the website, and it has its place. But we lead with data, we lead with our data, and we're constantly reinforcing that. Next slide. This slide is an example of how we talk about the network that we serve on. It's basically 97% of the open web, and it's brand safe sites. We are building relationships with custom networks. We're getting more of a bent on, we want to be more of a show up on more business sites. But this is, if you've got to remember, the biggest piece here is that this is audience driven. It's about where that audience goes in the course of their day or night. If they're up at 5 in the morning or 2 in the morning, checking the weather, there's a potential we're going to put an ad in front of them. But what we're doing is we're optimizing, and making sure that we're putting it in front of that right person, not putting too many in front of them. We cap it out. I just came from a meeting where a client said, wow, we conduct webinars. I want to make sure that we're in front of these people going to webinars, reminding them about it. So we're going to turn up the frequency. But it's not like retargeting where you go to a website and there's 5 of the same ads on that website. That's not what this is. This is a premium positioning. Next slide. So our future rollouts, just as I said, we are wrapping it around a lot of what we're doing in marketing services, not everything. Webcasts, lead gen programs, stay in front of that lead. Just we've delivered leads, and while the client is calling on the leads, we're staying in front of them. It's going to complement our events, obviously our co-branded email blasts, ABM. We're going to be rolling out a pretty robust ABM program. We're hearing that the clients are already doing it. We just didn't know it, and guess what? They're not doing it with us. So now we're saying, come do it with us. So I think, is that the next slide? Is that the last? I think that wraps up the slideshow. And this says, thank you.
Joanne, I just wanted to add one thing. From the client perspective, Joanne mentioned we've had a lot of success. It's been very well received. And I break it kind of down into 2 parts. We've got our smaller endemic sponsors who really need help with things like this. We've brought this to them, and they've said, wow, that's not where Google and Facebook and LinkedIn, they're not going to get that deep into our markets. They just don't have the bandwidth. But that's probably our core endemic partner. And we're actually giving them tools. We're leading them. They're seeing this as something that is fantastic. It gives them more access to the community, and they're absolutely loving it. The other end of the spectrum are our large customers who probably may be working with large agencies who are aware of things like this, who do work with the Googles, the LinkedIns. They have seen this, so it's not news to them. But what we're hearing from them is kind of, finally, you guys, we know that you have the endemic community. We've always looked at you for that, but you never had the scale. You never had the technology, and finally now you're giving us a little more of what we need for you to be able to compete. And we trust your first-party data more. We trust your brands more. So now that you're able to marry the two, and we're seeing a lot of success there as well. So we're actually seeing it on both fronts very quickly. We've only launched, I want to say, 6 weeks ago, and very quickly we have been able to ramp up this product.
Yeah, I think the last point about those of us in B2B, we're sitting at a perfect spot. That's how Matt kicked it off. All the legislation, things going on with third party. Agencies in particular are concerned about the performance they're coming out of third party targeting. We have access to it. We can tap into it. We are not allowing a lot of our data to be used in third party because we want to be the one. We want to be the one that you go to. But it's leveraging. It's always talking about that data that we're collecting, and because it will perform. It will perform better. And in fact, we've just like Matt said. I think we have. I want to say easy. 4 meetings. I'm on at least 4 meetings a day of our reps teeing these calls up. So, and our reps are really have embraced it, which I'm pretty excited about.
All right, excellent. Folks, we're going to open it up to Q&A at this point. We do have several questions that are already queued up in our chat feature, and I'll get to those in a second. If you'd like to ask questions, you can certainly type it into the chat feature, or you can unmute your phone line by hitting *7. That'll make your line live, and you can certainly just ask the question. I want to go back to a question that's actually a follow-up from the first question on partners and specific technologies that you guys are using. And the question is, who are the outside partners that you're working with on this?
Matt?
Well, I think we it's funny because right before the meeting we said, well, are we at liberty to share all the vendors that we work with? Maybe offline we can share them and distribute a list of partners that that we're working with, and who we interviewed. There's several. We went through a kind of an interview process or RFP process based on what our needs were. But I think, Matt, maybe we can share with you, and then you can share with the group kind of who the vendors are to look at.
That sounds fine. We'll be following up with a recording of this presentation and also the slides as well. So we'll huddle with the ALM folks, and we'll distribute that list as part of the archive. Next question, how are you guaranteeing brand safety? Does the DSP provide transparency here, or are you leveraging PMPs?
Yeah, that's a really good question because that's what's coming up a lot more, white lists. We're not, we have a very extensive blacklist that we're using. And we can use white lists by categories. The reason we don't do too much, we don't like doing a lot of white lists or using only certain brands or websites is because that sort of waters down the frequency we can be in front of that person. So we do that by either serving to categories, or we're trying to drill home that it's about where that person goes. So actually it shouldn't really matter. So if I go to weather.com and you don't think that's relevant because your content isn't there, remember that you're targeting a person. It's that person with that job function and that job title that you want to be in front of. It's not, and if you want to be in front of certain sites' content, then you should go to those sites and put ads there. What we're doing is it's an audience-driven piece. So the blacklists are no political, no alcohol, no porno, all the typical, competitors. So we're building, and it's going to be an ongoing basis. This is an ongoing thing as we're building this out, and really trying to train our clients that if you want that content, then you should advertise on that site. That's not really what this is. Did that answer the question? I can't see the question.
I think it does. If we have follow-ups to that, certainly you can type in your question, or you can unmute your line by hitting *7. We have another question just asking about the specific features of the package. Can you talk a little bit more about what is a custom mosaic offering?
That's good. That's a good question. Matt, do you have that answer?
Yes, I can certainly answer that. So mosaics are we've had mosaics in our portfolio for probably about a year now, year and a half. That's a content marketing. Those are content marketing units. We do use a vendor called Ceros. That is one I can certainly share. Ceros allows us to kind of build these. They're sort of repositories for content marketing, and that just happens to be one of our content marketing products, custom products. Ceros Interactive, it's a pretty interesting tool. If you look at it, it allows you to do a lot more infographic type things with content. So that's what that product is.
All right, very good. Guys, I think you've addressed this next question certainly in part over the presentation, but does ALM deliver first-party engagement data back to the advertiser? And if so, do they need to address any privacy concerns around using their audience data in that way?
No, we don't. We're still doing it. We put a banner in front of our audience and recommend that the clicks take them to a landing page. So it's still traditional. We do not hand over our email addresses. We don't actually even have that email address in that whole process. So there's no way to do it. What we do is all of this marketing should be driving engagement back to the client's website, back to a landing page, sign up, a registration page. That's the traditional way we all market, and that's not going to change.
Yeah, one of the things I should have said in the intro is because we are, and I came to ALM through an acquisition, but because legal is our largest segment, we are very concerned. When somebody's unhappy with our privacy laws, or somebody feels that we've breached a privacy law, or they've gotten an email or something that they shouldn't have, they don't contact their lawyer. They are the lawyer. They send you a letter themselves. So our readers are they're very capable of understanding kind of what the laws are. They know what the laws are. So we have to be very cognizant of that. So we're probably a lot more stringent, and it poses challenges in and of itself. But we are very cognizant of all the privacy laws, and we've got to be probably a little bit more diligent, I'd say, than on average.
All right, very good. Next question is multi-parts. Are you getting any pushback on performance? Have you been able to get past the last click attribution model, and do your more sophisticated clients understand that display ads are more about driving awareness and lift, or are they really focused on immediate actions?
So Matt may have may have an answer just based on some of the feedback he's gotten, but, we're not. It's actually what we, and I know from, this is relatively new here, but in my past life, I managed this product, and what we saw was my past life, my past job, not my past life, my other job. It was, we could get up to 4 to 10 times improved performance. That really complements what starts off on our website. Yeah, it's always fearful that, wow, what if this performs better than our own clicks? Actually, it improves it. And in terms of the performance we give back, we're not there yet, but we're bullish on really improving our reporting back. I mean, we're still doing the traditional clicks, and they're higher. They can be 4 to 10 times, depending if they went on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever that strategy was to optimize it. Because remember, it's not, I mean, there's actual salespeople jumping in to optimize it. So no pushback, but I will tell you that our industry is altogether, we are going to be challenged with that because of the technology for the tracking, the conversion tracking, all the software that's being acquired, and even the programmatic that's helping our advertisers understand quicker whether they bought a dud, whether they bought a dud product or not. And so we really need to be ahead of that and make sure that, that we're taking credit or we're calling out. And when it's bad news, don't hide. Say, I want to fix this. Let's tweak this. Let's change this. Partner with them to make it work. And they're going to have technology that sometimes they know sooner than we do, faster than we do. And we just got to get better at that. Matt, do you have a different answer?
No, I think that's right, but I think it's a great question, and it's a frustrating question that comes right out of the mouths of an agency who is very savvy, has the technology to be able to track these things, and sometimes I don't know that technology was really set up for right. B2B. It's set up for the masses, and we served a lot of ads to a lot of people, and we're not sure how succinct and how targeted it was, so we need to use that technology to verify that. And I think we're saying, yeah, but that's not really applicable to us. We're taking our first-party data. We're taking a community that was built. It's not that big, and we're leveraging it. And so you can't necessarily apply the same technology to it, like a last click. I don't know that that's applicable. So there's an educational effort that goes on as well. And I know, sometimes the people that you're dealing with vary in terms of in their skill set. Depending on who you're dealing with in an agency, they may not understand the value of B2B and kind of what we do. And so we have to educate them on kind of how we fit in versus how a broad agency who probably makes most of their money at scale, working with these massive players. We're not the focus for them. So it's really just an educational effort there.
Yeah, so I might add something. It might be a little controversial. I hope there's no agencies on the phone that'll take offense at this, but agencies want to push that third-party data that's available out there. And they're little, that third-party data is a collection of cookies, or, it's a best guess. There's a lot of vendors out there selling and reselling stuff, and they want to push it because they can scale. And that scalability is tough to scale. It's tough for them to work with, multiple small clients, or, smaller publishers, and pull all of that together in a campaign. That's why programmatic is coming more and more in B2B. And, they do take, when they understand how this data is collected and this first party, there's a room for both. Go ahead and do what you're doing, or test us against what you're currently doing with the third party targeting that you're doing. So, we've got, It's coming along there, and it's about because we know our data. We can speak to it. And hopefully all of you in your organizations are doing the same thing.
Guys, we've got one more question in the queue, and it's probably a good one to bring everything home on. What are the biggest learnings when setting this up, either good or bad? What were some of the biggest lessons that you took away?
Good question.
I took away as my gut was to say spend more time with the sales reps. I mean, I knew that from previously, but spend time, give them goals. Yeah, we run a contest, but they all want to win. I think really putting the time in to sales reps is what I've learned. It was my big, and we do weekly webinars. So, Matt, any?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing, and this is really important. This is a great question because the biggest learning I had was we often say I don't know that we have always practiced what we preach, which was, hey, our customers. We always ask our customers to, they always come to us and say, we kind of teach that we should be consultative and we have to help our customers understand the industry and the business, and we have to guide them. We have to give them, be an extension of their marketing arm. And I don't know that we actually do that. So when we decided that this was something we needed to do, we went out, we spoke to vendors, we put out our, RFIs, RFPs, and we spoke to a lot of people and said, this is what we're trying to accomplish. And they told us how we could get there. They helped us get there. So this actually proved out to me that, organizationally, whenever we're dealing with something, it could be privacy, it could be all sorts of things. I go to vendors first and I say, I need several vendors in here, and I need you to tell me how we can get to our goal, how we can accomplish our goal, what are others doing, and because they have visibility that we don't. They have visibility into Google, LinkedIn, others. They're working with them that we don't have, and they can kind of help us find the sweet spot in what we're trying to accomplish as we go to market. And they really did. They helped us get it to market. And it's one of the most, I hate to say it because it's still early on, but this early on has been one of the most successful launches we've had in terms of how it's easily embraced by the salespeople. The market is embracing it. And I think that has to go back to the fact that we spoke to so many vendors about how we could position this, and they helped us position this. We ended up choosing the vendor that could do everything we needed, but we had so much information before we got to market. It really paved the way.
All right, very good. We've just got a couple minutes left. Natalie Williams, any questions that you want to get in? Any reaction to this?
I think the questions that we got from the rest of the group pretty well covered anything we'd have time for today.
All right, terrific. Well, Matt and Joanne, thank you very much. Terrific presentation and Q&A. And again, we know you're sick, so we certainly appreciate you playing hurt. We will follow up with an archive of both the video and then also the presentation, and we'll huddle with the ALM folks on the specific partners they're using and see who they can talk about. Just to wrap things up today, just want to bring a few things to your attention about what's coming up with Connectiv. Next month, the Jesse H. Neal Awards, awards recognizing the best in B2B editorial. The nominations will be opening, so you can start prepping your nominations and keep an eye out for that. We're going to be hosting a webinar on October 17th on the 6 E's of social engagement, so looking at social best practices both from the content standpoint and also the marketing standpoint, specifically around event marketing. We have the Business Information and Media Summit coming up November 11th to November 13th in Hollywood, Florida. Certainly recommend you guys take a look at the agenda there. We've blown through our numbers for the early bird registrations at this point, and certainly expecting this to be a great meeting in November. As I mentioned before, we're going to be kicking off our Data Strategy and Monetization Council meeting at BIMS on November 11th. So keep an eye out. We're going to be sending an agenda and invites out for that. And if you're interested in joining, you can certainly reach out to me directly as well. We've got another webinar on November 21st on monetizing podcasts. Everyone is doing a podcast. We're going to be launching a podcast. But it seems like very few are actually being able to monetize this. So we're going to talk about some best practices for actually generating revenue with your podcast. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to be following up with live meetings for this council, December 3rd in Chicago and December 5th in New York City. We're going to be sending a survey out to you guys on what you would like to be talking about, so please pay attention to that. And we'll be following up shortly with more details on those meetings, and we certainly hope to see you there. Thank you again for joining us today. Thank you again to ALM and to Natalie Williams. This concludes the meeting.
Everyone else